Hello and welcome to another episode of Artflow. Today we're taking a look at Karla Ortiz's Ghoulcaller Gisa, created for Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering. I was initially going to study Karla's Chaser and Void of Ghosts, which is arguably her most well-known illustration, but I already did that a couple of years ago. And she has other fantastic artwork, and any of them will demonstrate what we'll be discussing later. So let's dig in. The first thing that stands out from this illustration is how grey and somber it looks. Apart from the titular character, everything else here is pretty much monochromatic. What Karla is doing here is using color temperature to make the focus stand out from the background. There are many ways to create contrast in your image. You can use shapes, values, colors, textures, etc. And you can clearly see how she uses detail to self with Gisa from the background as well. The ghouls in the background have almost no detail compared to Gisa's headpiece, her clothing, and her weird spoon. If there is one thing all of Karla Ortiz's illustration have in common, it's her understanding of how to draw the eye. If you notice, none of her paintings are very rendered outside the main subject. And the farther away you move from the main subject, the less rendered everything becomes. Lately, there have been a lot of artists who believe that to make their paintings more realistic, they have to over-render everything and add details everywhere, and use photographs and textures to achieve a realistic look. But doing this often has the opposite effect. These images usually have an off-putting quality because the human eye doesn't work that way. The same way as how you wouldn't paint every single strand of hair on someone's head to make it look more realistic. This is because humans have peripheral vision. For example, when I focus on this stylus, everything else in the room becomes out of focus the farther away they are from the stylus. And I just realized that stylus is one letter off from spelling my name. Anyway, this was something the old masters realized and used frequently, like Sargent and Zorn. And it's something you should keep in mind. If you spent a few hours trying to render your focus points to make it stand out to no avail, maybe you over-rendered your background and you need to unrender it. Let me give you another example using one of Karla's other pieces from George R.R. Martin's The World of Ice and Fire. If I asked you who the focus of the piece was, you would be right to guess the lady, and it has nothing to do with her being in the foreground. As you can see, Nymeria is much more rendered and has a higher value range than Mors, who is so loosely rendered, but render him any more and it would detract from the queen. I knew my extensive knowledge of Game of Thrones would pay off one day. As far as composition goes, everything is leaning to the left. The ghouls, the tree, and Gisa's hand, but the giant demon spoon moves to the other direction to balance the scene. Composition is something you get the feel for after spending a few years staring at all sorts of illustrations. Again, like Jason Chan's piece from last episode, Ghoulcaller's Gisa's strength lies in its simplicity. I truly believe that the most effective illustrations are the simple ones. You don't need to zoom in at 500% to add in details or textures everywhere. There is a quote floating around the industry that says that a painting is considered finished when nothing bothers you after zooming out. Now, of course it's important to note that there is no right way to paint, obviously, but I believe that this transcends just painting. If you think about other artistic mediums, you will notice that simplicity always works best. Simple stories in movies trumps complicated ones, and music with a simple, hummable melody is also much more effective. And this is something Karla has nailed down in every single one of her illustrations, and we would all do well to learn from her. And that's about it. Hopefully you found this video useful or entertaining. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put what I just learned into practice. And remember, eat, sleep, art. Bye. I do it for the love, yes I do. So you don't care about the money, well yes it's true. And I'm so